What is up, guys? Rickagus here, comparing the three heavy hitter pulse rifles, the Messenger, the Hopscotch Pilgrim, and the spare Change.25. All of these guns have the same rate of fire and impact and are all capable of an insane 2-burst kill on the Crucible. The spare Change.25 is a Crucible weapon. You are randomly awarded it at the end of a Crucible game. The Hopscotch Pilgrim is a strike weapon. You are randomly awarded it at the end of usually a Vanguard Dragon strike. And lastly, the Messenger is a Trials of Osiris pulse rifle, either sold by the Trials of Osiris vendor or randomly awarded either through a Trials of Osiris package or by opening the 9-0 chest, which is what I did to get my Arc variant. Now let's start the comparison, but before I begin, I just want to say that I have taken off all of the stability increasing perks of these three guns, so when we compare them, we are comparing the starting stats of these weapons. So let's get started with the spare Change.25 versus the Hopscotch Pilgrim. You can see here the spare Change has noticeably better range and noticeably worse stability. The Hopscotch Pilgrim also has a much higher magazine of 30. Now that is a huge advantage. Now comparing the spare Change versus the Messenger. The spare Change actually does have a little bit better range and less severe stability advantage to the Messenger, but still the Messenger has greatly increased stability. The only reason the Messenger has insane reload is because it's on flared magwell right now. Now comparing the Hopscotch Pilgrim versus the Messenger. You can see here the Hopscotch Pilgrim does have better starting stability, but worse starting range, and still the Hopscotch wins with 30 rounds in a magazine. So you can very easily see here that these guns fall into three distinct categories. The Hopscotch Pilgrim has not the best starting range, but by far the best starting stability. The spare Change is the opposite. It has the best starting range, but the worst starting stability. The Messenger falls right in between the two, with an average starting range and stability beating out the associated other pulse rifle. Now, after putting on the stability increasing perks, you can see here that the Messenger still is the exact same. It is middle of the road. It loses to the Hopscotch Pilgrim. The Hopscotch Pilgrim can actually completely max out the stability, becoming a bloody sniper rifle. The spare Change stability is better, but it is still completely worse than the other two guns, and the Messenger remains in the middle of the road. Now, which pulse rifle do I think is best? Well, I think that it should definitely be noted that both the spare Change.25 and the Hopscotch Pilgrim can be reforged, so you can get the perks that you want. You can get the perfect roll, so to speak, for these guns. However, the Messenger kind of already has the perfect roll. Third Eye giving you the ability to aim down sights and keep up your radar, and Head Seeker, and Perfect Balance is essentially the best role you can possibly think of for PvP play. Also, don't underestimate how important Perfect Balance is. Perfect Balance gives a straight increase to stability and decreases nothing. The other two guns can get stuff that increases the stability, but for example, my Hopscotch Pilgrim has braced frame, so it increases the stability incredibly, but it lowers the range of an already low range, and that's a huge downside. I actually wasn't able to get 2-burst headshots from some of the longer range sightlines in some of the maps on the Crucible, and that's a huge disadvantage. The spare Change.25 also has an increase to stability, but it actually lowers the magazine size as well to a tiny 18. Considering the Messenger basically has the perfect PvP perk roll, the reforgeable advantage of the other two guns doesn't really apply. Now, going back to the question, which pulse rifle do I think is best? Well, I think it clearly goes to the Messenger. When I first got the Hopscotch Pilgrim, I actually thought, holy crap, this might be better than the Messenger just because of that insane starting stability. And if you're good with pulse rifles, you can actually probably get a different perk that doesn't increase stability, maybe increases range or something else, and still be good using the Hopscotch Pilgrim at a pretty decent range. However, none of these guns are that amazing up and closer ranges, so you really want to be keeping distance between you and your enemy. As such, a high range stat is very important, and as a result, the Hopscotch Pilgrim simply doesn't cut it in that respect. The spare Change.25 is just nowhere near high enough in the stability department. Again, you need to be landing headshots to make the most of that range, and the spare Change.25's recoil is all over the place. Again, both the spare Change.25 and the Hopscotch Pilgrim are clearly lacking in a certain stat, yet the Messenger is not because it is in between both of them. Of the other two, however, I feel that the Hopscotch Pilgrim is vastly superior to the spare Change.25. With that being said, all of the pulse rifles are extremely powerful in the Crucible right now. With that being said, I believe the high impact ones come out on top. If you get any of these different guns showcased today and you get the right perks, you can really do some damage. It also helps that all of these guns are legendary, freeing up your exotic slot to be used on something else. I know personally I was running Galahorn in the heavy slot while I was filming these clips, and it was absolutely amazing to pick up heavy and have an unbelievably powerful exotic heavy for once, and not being able to have to rely on the crutch exotic primaries. That's it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, don't be afraid to slap that subscribe button. Doing so will let you see Destiny content similar to this. My Twitch channel and Twitter are both linked in the description of this video. So check out my Twitter if you want to get in touch with me, and check out my Twitch if you want to see my ramblings live. Again, I hope you enjoy, and as always, have a good day.